big uniform outlets. But then let's begin our bulletin tonight with that mass action which has been part of the civil society and political order for decades in Kenya. Well, it had shared different champions and different faces. It will not be the first time that Raila Odinga will be pushing the government through a call to the masses. It's also worth noting that previous protests have yielded fruit to the former Prime Minister. The question is, will Odinga manage to get his way once again? KTN's political reporter Daniel Kariuki interrogates.
Away from the action, President William Ruto could be designing a way to counter Azimio leader Raila Odinga's fierce pressure to have him step down over the high cost of living and other key issues. Ruto has told Kenyans that he will corner Raila this time round in his own words. On a day considered with the 5th anniversary of the handshake between former President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga, Odinga launched his calls for mass action against the government of the day. And Friday, Raila's supporters in Kisumu hit the streets in a show of defiance to the government of the day, a commencement of a journey that will culminate in the March 20th mega protest in Nairobi. Ruto has in several occasions dismissed the protest as an underhand tactic by Raila and his allies to force him into a handshake as he did with his predecessors.
Mimi nimemwambia Profesa Kindiki aulize hawa watu schedule ya maandamano ndio tuwapatie askari ya kuwachunga wasiharibu mali ya watu. Kama wanataka kufanya every day ama every week ama every month na kwa miaka ngapi.
Odinga, however, insisting he was not pushing for a handshake, but he was on a pursuit of electoral and social justice.
Wameitisha mimi ati yo jamani, watu ambao wanapenda mambo ya kufanya maandamano, ati wanataka handshake, sijui nini. Nasema hapa leo sitaki mambo ya handshake.
A look back in history, however, reveals that this is not the first time that the opposition, and indeed Odinga, has resorted to mass action as a means to political end. The last 3 successive governments, from Daniel Moi, Mwai Kibaki and Uhuru Kenyatta, have had to work with Raila Odinga to allow them deliver on their election pledges.
You will not blackmail this nation. You will not threaten the people of Kenya. We are determined to move the country forward.
The Saba Saba protests in the 1990s, which sought and successfully saw the repeal of Section 2A of the Constitution to allow for multi-party democracy, were the most notable during the Moi regime. Years later, in 2007, Odinga would orchestrate protest against the Mwai Kibaki administration shortly after the disputed general elections, claiming he was rigged out of victory. The protest, characterized by chaos, economic disruption and bloodshed, led to the deadly 2007 post-election violence. To contain the situation, Kibaki yielded to pressure and thanks to closed-door negotiations. Midwifed by former Secretary General Kofi Annan, the Grand Coalition government was birthed with both Kibaki and Raila Odinga at the helm. History would later repeat itself in October 2017. NASA coalition, which had Odinga as its leader, disputed President Uhuru Kenyatta's re-election as president, sparking protest countrywide. Both Uhuru and Odinga would later engage in negotiations that culminated in the public March 2018 handshake that saw Odinga drop his hardline stance against the government. Fast forward to 2023, and Odinga has now given the green light for mass action across the country, with pundits arguing that he is traveling down a familiar road whose outcome is almost predetermined. Political expert Tom Boyer says, and I quote, "We are seeing history repeat itself. Raila is in a position where he can hold the government to account. He will definitely bring the government to the table, and based on previous experience, something will come from it." He, however, ruled out the possibility of a handshake between the head of state and the opposition leader. Will he get his way this time round? Daniel Kariuki, KTN News.
Right, so meanwhile, Migori County hosted the Azimio